Hi, welcome back to the channel. This week we're looking at the new MS20 filter from Arturia. It's a free gift for Christmas or holidays. And yeah, it's really nice. The MS20 filter is my favorite filter by far. What makes it so nice is just there's no other way to describe it, just a really juicy cutoff. You've got the separate high pass and low pass, which means you can get a nice band pass out of it. And then the drive circuit is really lush also. So first let's go through the features. To the left, in this view, you have the distortion section followed by the filter. So you can pre-drive the filter, or if you click this button here, you can switch that around. So then you can put distortion post filter. Then you have distortion drive. Then you have the cutoff here for low cut and high cut. That's the distortion specific cutoff. Then you get the dry wet of the distortion, and then the output for gain staging. You'll notice that the numbers are yellow or white. That's a very good and clear indication of where the knob is. I really like that, just a subtle touch, but it's just so easy to identify. And then moving across, as I said, you can flick the order. Here we have the master cutoff. This essentially links the high pass and low pass together. That then creates a band pass filter. So as you can see, if you look at the little dial going up, high pass is going up, and then this way the low pass comes down. So what that means in theory or in practice is if you leave it in this setting, you have the typical DJ mixer setting where anything lower than 0 is a low cut and anything higher than 0 is a high pass. So it's a really nice way to set that up. It doesn't need to start at 0 as well. You could start it here and then it still becomes a high pass from that frequency. I can think of several uses for that. Then, as I said, you have got the high pass and low pass filters if you want to use them independently. You have the peak, which is another name for resonance in the MS20. That can get extremely loud. So to that end, what they've done, quite sensibly, is they've put a limit restriction on here. So if you click it on or off, it puts a limiter on the peak, so you don't blow your ears and or your monitors. So I'll leave that on, because I do quite like my monitors and my ears. I want to keep them. And then moving on to the right hand side, you've got the mix, which is quite self-explanatory. Then you have the movement. I'll explain that in a second when we get down to the extended section. Then the FX level, which is essentially the output of this. So basically gain staging again. Included is the advanced modulation section. So if you click up here, it'll drop down. You have an envelope follower, a step sequencer, and a function generator. The envelope follower, as it implies, follows any incoming signal coming in. You have the sensitivity to that. You can select the sidechain or just the straight audio in. So if you put that from second in the chain, for example, it will follow the audio in. Or you can put a sidechain, so you can sidechain a kick to it, should you wish, or something along those lines. Then the step sequencer is quite straightforward. You can have the rate here, which is hertz, sync, triplets or dotted. And then the function generator, which is essentially like an LFO. And again, the rate. You can have some presets in here as well, so let's have a look. We got the sine, all nice stuff. But then what you do is, to assign one of these, you might not have noticed, but next to each of these knobs are 3 little horseshoe things. So you have one for the envelope, one for the step sequencer, and the third one for the function generator. And because Arturia's interfaces are superb, they're all color-coded. So this one is green, or this cyan color. You increase it, and there we go. But let's say we want it on the envelope. That then is green, and step is this magenta color, I think it is. So there we go. So it's incredibly easy to follow what's being mapped. And then once you've done that, I said I'd come back to the movement control. This here is a global movement parameter. So you might set all these little guys up like so. But then you think, okay, that's a bit too much. I want to dial that back. Then you've got the movement. You can dial that right back to 0. So a good example of that would be, let's say you have all of these modulations coming in for a specific part of the track. Rather than modulate or automate all of these out at that point, you simply automate the one knob down to 0 and then bring it back up at that moment, and then these all take effect. Or essentially like a modulation mix. So incredibly flexible. as you can no doubt tell by now. I have loaded just a drum loop, mainly because it's a full frequency spectrum, so you can hear the full range of this little monster. I'm just going to put it back to default for now. I will turn it off. So let's have a listen to just the loop by itself. And then we'll go through some of the functions. So back on. I did forget to mention the button down here, so clean and dirty. And when I first fired this up, I found it really quite different to what I'm used to from the MS20 hardware. And that's because my unit just sounds really gritty and dirty. And for that reason, unfortunately, I never use it in a Psytrance track because it just doesn't fit. It's too dirty, if you like. In a techno track, it works marvelously, but just not in a clean Psytrance track. But instead, when you have this clean option, I think I will use this quite a bit more now. If we click on the dirty option, with all the settings at 0, the difference between clean and dirty is instant. And dirty. So you can already hear the drive. So instantly you can hear that just that crunch that it has. I'll keep it on clean for now, go through some of the settings. Go through the distortion first. So it's dry and then wet. This is in the clean setting. As you can hear, the drive is incredibly brutal, so I've typically found that up to 1 is really as far as you'd want to take it. Obviously that all depends on how you're gain staging the signal coming in. If it's lower, you might want to drive it harder, but if it's coming in at a reasonable level, then I found that 1 is as far really as you want to take it. And then we can move on to the filter. As I said, in this case, the filter is post distortion. Let's just turn this off though, so go back to a clean signal. So here we have the DJ configuration where high pass and then low pass. So I can really see that coming in handy for transitions. The low pass by itself, with a bit of resonance. On the dirty mode. And then the high pass. So let's give it a bit of modulation. Let's have a play with some of the modulation. Let's go with the function generator. So then let's go through some presets on the curves here. Rhythmic sounds interesting. I've not looked at these yet, so let's have a look together. At the moment it's not doing anything because I've not mapped it. Let's put it on the low pass. We want it to go the other way. A bit faster, or a bit slower. There we go. Put it on the master. And then we can do something with the step sequencer. Let's put this one on the high pass. We have different modes, so we can go backwards, forward and backwards, and then random. So we have all this movement that we've programmed in, but let's say, as I said, that we think it's too much for that section, we want to dial it back. We can just move this movement knob and it will all go back to just straight wherever these parameters are, but without the modulation. Or put the modulation back. We can do the distortion post filter. So there we go. It's really easy to get some super nice effects out of it, especially with their resonance, which is just lush. So creamy and liquidy, or throw whatever adjective you want at it. So it's free. Go and get it now. I'm not sure how long it's free for. The other benefit of picking this up is that when Arturia do their sales, they have quite a big discount for cross grades, and this will qualify as a cross grade. So the sale prices are generally quite a bit cheaper for cross grade versus buying outright. So even if you don't use it, which I'm sure you will, but even if you don't, you just put it in your collection and then use it as a cross grade tool for when you want something else that they have. But as I said, I strongly doubt you will not use it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.